Hello, this is cemd speaking, and today I'm going to be demonstrating you how the slicers work in an end-to-end environment. Um, I'm going to be going deep into the slicers concept because I believe it's really important. One of the fundamentals of the whole Azure Data Factory is based on the slicer concept. And it's a vast topic, to be honest with you, and we're just scratching the surface. So before going into demonstration, I'd like to tell you about the demo scenario. I have a blob storage, and this blob storage is right here, and it is a partitioned Hive table, partitioned by year, month, day, and the most important thing is it is a gzip file or a bunch of gzip files. Hive is able to handle the zip files, hence we store everything in zip because not only it is less CPU or a little bit more CPU but less space, but most important and faster processing, but most importantly it is also faster to transfer the files from on-prem to your final destination, your cloud. Hence, we prefer to push the files to on-prem using gzip. Anyway, so I have a bunch of gzip files, and here I have my Hive pipeline. What it does is it takes these gzip files, and based on the slicer, it decides on which one to use right here. I have my var close, and in this var close, I say, okay, year should be whatever I pass, month should be whatever I pass, and the day should be whatever I pass through the slicer. That's what it does. Now, after it's being passed, it is being written in an unzip format. That's this one. I'll zoom in. Unzip format, and what this one does is it takes this unzipped data and pushes it to an on-prem SQL server. So here's my SQL server, and I'm going to run it. Now I have some data, but I'm going to truncate this data. Now I don't have any more data, zero data. So my problem is if I come over to this particular thing and say, hey, I want to run let's say I want to run this particular slicer. I right click on it and run it. Well, the problem with this approach is the fact that it is only going to run this parent pipeline. In other words, it is not going to run this pipeline, hence it's not going to update this table that it's depending upon. There are certain parameters that you can use, but still in the slices itself, and I'm going to demonstrate them in later sessions, but they are still based on this parent pipeline. It doesn't look at the upstream pipelines at all. What you need to do is, in order to make it run, you need to force it. Hence, this is the forcing structure. You say, here's my pipeline active periods, here's my data factory, here's the start date and end date. Based on these two factors, it figures out which slicers to run, and you need to give the name of the pipeline because it's per pipeline, and you need to force it to recalculate, which means if you run this pipeline, this particular one was daily, as you can see 26, 25, 24. If you run this pipeline per day basis, and let's assume that this has been already ran, it wouldn't have, even though I run this command, it wouldn't have done anything for me unless I put this particular attribute or parameter. This basically forces the whole slicer to be recalculated, re-executed. And I not only do it for this particular pipeline, this guy over here, I need to do it for the blob on-prem too, because I have this pipeline, blob on-prem, and also I have this pipeline, the high one. Let me do this. I don't know what happened. I'll double click on the diagram. I think the diagram is here, but it's somewhere on. Oh, this thing is weird. It's a little bit hard to use. Okay, let me close this and then open up again. Oh, here we go. Okay, so let's go to our notepad and get the first one. It doesn't matter which one you pick, but I'm going to get the first one and put it over here. I just paste it, and it's going to ask me whether I want to reset the period. I will say yes, please. Now let's go to the second one. I'm going to do the same thing. Even if I execute it like the first one and then the second one, it wouldn't have mattered because it would have realized that I was going to recalculate and waited for the first one to be executed first. So I click on yes. Now we are good. Let's go back to our pipelines. So this is the pipeline and this is the output of it. And here you can see that it's in pending execution. Now HD Insight is thinking, and pretty soon this pending execution is going to change, and it's going to say, it's going to add a new line over here, and it's going to say configuring. Let's wait for a second or two until it does that. I'm sure it's going to do that, but it's just waiting. There's an overhead associated with this whole operation, hence it takes a lot of time. Here it becomes in progress, and here is the configuring part. So very good. This operation is going to take about 2 minutes, so we'll come back to it pretty soon. Let's close this one. Let's close this one. Let's go over to this side. And what I do expect is this should be in pending execution. As you can see, it's in pending execution. I need to wait until this first pipeline is over in order to be able to execute this one. Or not I need to, ADF is going to wait for me so that it doesn't do funky stuff. It knows the dependencies, hence it's just waiting for this one to be executed and be done, and this one is going to start executing. And how the data looks like, it's right here. As you can see, the last time that I executed my file was on 2/19/6:48 a.m. It is right now 11:03 p.m. This is the date differences due to I think this is in UTC time frame. I am on Pacific Standard Time, and I am a little bit behind. But the time is revealing. If it's 6:48, it means the last time I ran this thing was about 15 minutes ago. So let's go back to, I'm going to refresh this thing. Let's see if it's already done or not. This is, by the way, Azure Storage Explorer. It's a free tool available. It's still executing. The time didn't change. What I'm expecting is this thing to be 7:03 or something. So I'll refresh it again. Hopefully it's going to get executed in the next couple minutes. I think it's done now. Let's see. These are all the files that are associated with not ADF but HD Insight. I put my files in HD Insight directory. Not any particular reason, but I just did it that way. Oh, yep, it's done. As you can see, it's 7:03 now. And my date is 11:04, my time. So let's go back to our ADF. And pretty soon, this should be not in pending execution mode, but actually in execution. You will see it in about a second or two. So let's check it out. Check out this one. Oh, this became ready. As you can see, this became successfully executed. It completed at 7:04 UTC time. So let's go to my output table, the final output table. It should be right now pending execution. If we wait a little bit, oops, it started. So let's see if it's actually pushing the data. How we can do it, we will just execute this one. Oops, here we go. I have about 18,000 records. So this was my little demonstration in regards to how you can force a full pipeline to execute. This is still running, and it's going to finish in about a minute or so, but I'm not going to wait it. Anyway, what I did was I basically forced this pipeline and this pipeline to run by setting the slices on this particular output table and this particular output table. So that way I was able to get the whole pipeline to be executed. And how I did it, it's by just calling the set Azure Data Factory pipeline active periods. Right now, as you can see, everything is hard-coded. In other words, I have the pipeline names over here. In near future, I'm going to make these to be a little bit more dynamic. In other words, it should go through the chain or upstream of a pipeline and figure out the dependencies and run all of them. But I think this was a good exercise, even though it was manual. It gives you the basic mechanics of how Azure slicers work. So this was it about the slicers, at least for the time being. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to write it down. Again, I am Cem Demircioğlu, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.